Welcome to the Uncovering Sports Winter Olympics Edition.
Happy Valentine's Day and welcome to Uncovering Sports. Thanks for tuning in. I am Cactus Hamilton Barrett alongside luge aficionado, the Heartbreak Kid, Brendan Coleman. And this is our very special Winter Olympics edition. We're going to be covering everything Olympics, including what's been happening so far in 2018. What's happening over there?
The Olympics.
That's true. A lot of Olympics happening. Lots of snow events, lots of ice events.
Yeah.
A lot of medals being won and fought over, as is, Olympic tradition.
By both countries and athletes of countries alike.
That are supposedly not representing their country. If you haven't heard, Russia was banned from this year's games, the 2018 Olympics, for a doping scandal. However, to find a middle ground, their athletes were allowed to compete, but not for Russia. They are simply known as the Olympic athletes from Russia. Different, apparently,
Yeah,
than
definitely.
Russian athletes. Now, answer me this. The Russian officials got in trouble for allowing doping on their watch, and so Russia was banned.
Right.
But the athletes, who were the ones doping,
Yes.
did not get banned.
They are guilty parties here.
Maybe I'm missing something, but something's not right there.
It doesn't make a lot of sense.
What's your favorite sport in the Winter Olympics?
Hockey. I'm all about hockey.
Fun sport to watch.
Yep.
Team sport. Americans are, very familiar with it, so it helps.
Yeah.
It's fun to watch, not in the Olympics also.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot more entertaining than, let's say, curling. Well, hang on.
What are you talking about?
I'm not dissing
You're
curling.
dissing my favorite sport?
I'm just saying if curling were on year-round, you probably wouldn't be that interested.
If curling were on year-round, we'd be talking about a lot more curling on this show.
What I meant to say was figure skating.
Whoa!
Oh, God.
America's favorite sport?
Ugh.
For 2 weeks out of the year, every 4 years.
Oh, gosh. Can we take this again?
There's nothing like figure skating.
I've offended everyone.
And we will get to that in just a moment. Because what we want to do for this week is take everybody back in time a bit. Because while everyone is familiar with the Winter Olympics and what happens at them, skiing, luging, bobsledding, curling for those of us who are cultured enough, not everyone might know the long and storied history of the Winter Olympics. Most specifically, how the Winter Olympics went from sports to entertainment. So we thought we'd take this very special Valentine's Day to peel back the curtain, as we do, and uncover some sports.
Ah.
First time we've used that on the show.
Now you get it.
We're going to start with something newer, fresher. How much do you know about snowboarding?
I know everything there is to know.
Know everything there is to know. Tell me all about it.
I know nothing.
You had me going.
Yeah.
You had me going. Snowboarding, first introduced in 1998 to the Winter Olympics in Nagano.
Mm-hmm.
You may remember the N64 game.
I do.
One of the best.
Yeah.
Olympics-based games.
Yeah. Right up there.
By 1998, most of the Olympics has become a work. In 1998 and beyond, it's mostly about television rights, advertising dollars, things of that nature. The Winter Olympics, other than ice hockey and figure skating in the American market, needed a little something.
Sure.
That's where snowboarding came in. Snowboarding was this fresh, exciting sport. It's like skateboarding on snow, kind of, but with less tricks you can do.
You're strapped
You
to the
can't
board.
kick flip a snowboard.
Yeah.
But it was, a way to entice a hotter, younger audience to the product. That's why it was added. That's the kind of stuff we're going to be talking about. How do you sell it? You find, a fresh young star. Maybe a Shaun White, for example. You make him the face of the product. You make him the face of the sport. Everyone's tuning in. Everyone's exciting. Shaun White's still a draw to this day.
Yeah. Did you know he's barely 30?
I was stunned when I saw that too.
I thought he would be about 75 years old by
I know,
now.
it seems like he's been snowboarding forever.
Blows my mind.
It blows my mind, yeah, but he's in the prime of his career, I think.
Or he's the old man. I don't know.
Hey, he just won another gold medal, so...
It's true.
So that's snowboarding in, a 30-second nutshell, however long that was.
Yeah.
At some point, the Olympics were a sporting competition between nations to determine bragging rights, mostly. But who the greatest was, in a manner of speaking, There's a certain amount, and there still is, a certain amount of national pride that goes with your team bringing home the gold.
Absolutely, yeah.
So let me ask you this.
Okay.
When you think of the Winter Olympics, what's like the other big sport that comes to mind?
I'm a big fan of cool runnings, but I don't think you're going for bobsled.
I'm not going for bobsledding, although that's a great one to bring up. Bobsledding is a sport everyone enjoys watching and talking about. That movie made it very famous.
Yep.
One of the easiest sports to work, as you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Try to time a bobsled run.
Yeah.
Have you ever?
can't.
No, of course you haven't.
Just a bunch of quick cuts.
Just a bunch of quick cuts. That you can add and remove those cuts as needed.
Yep.
Count the number of turns. The announcers do a great job of covering their tracks.
Yeah.
All they do is they just add the timer in post so that it ends at whatever number they want. Edit it to be generally the right length. No one's double checking the math because that is not in anyone's best interest. And there you go.
Yeah. Well, I believe the answer you were looking for was figure skating.
For some reason, the United States of America has a love affair with figure skating. Am I wrong about that?
No. It's pretty popular.
It's a very popular sport.
Yeah.
Probably most of the Olympic athletes that you can think of are probably figure skaters.
Most of them.
A lot of them.
Shaun White.
Except, okay, yeah, so you can name one snowboarder. Name another snowboarder.
Fair enough.
Right? I can't name a curler.
I can name a lot of hockey players if you wanted me to.
Yeah, but you watch that sport otherwise. I only watch figure skating for a week every 4 years, and for some reason I know all of these names. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
You make
there's
a good
songs
point.
about some of them.
That is true.
It's a very popular sport.
Uh-huh.
And it's by design. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's by design. And it's been by design for a very long time. Figure skating first became popular in the 1940s. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Pretty fun for people to watch. Just as like a, honey, let's go to an ice show tonight. And you go out and watch the Ice Capades or what have you.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
The Wizard of Oz on ice. I assume that exists.
I'm sure that happened.
Yeah.
Everything was being put on ice. And in a lot of cases, after the Olympics, those stars who won the golds would be in the ice shows.
Well, what else are you going to do?
Yeah, that's
It's a limited
going
skill
pro
set. Yeah.
in the figure skating world. So it becomes a pretty popular sport in the U.S., and the U.S. is actually pretty good at it even before it's a work. After World War II, they win quite a few gold medals. But something very sad happens in 1961. The entire figure skating team died.
73 die in the crash of a Belgian Sabena jetliner while in the landing pattern for Brussels Airport. 11 crew members and 61 passengers all perished. Aboard the doomed craft on their way to Prague for international competitions were the 18 members of America's figure skating team.
And it sort of hits the reset button on figure skating in America. And it's about this time, early 60s, mid 60s, that, with the ubiquity of TVs in every home and just the media's general coverage of sports increasing around this time, it starts to become more important to have people watch than to have people win legitimate competitions.
Sure.
And since the U.S. already had a thing for figure skating, as countries start to sort of divvy up the sports they're going to be really good at in the Olympics, Canada and Russia take hockey, for example. Mm-hmm. The U.S. is like, you know what? we'll do figure skating.
I feel like we got the short end of the stick there.
American promoters at the time thought this is where the money's at. It doesn't truly happen until after the 1968 Olympics. Anyone who was alive, and I wasn't in 1968, watched Peggy Fleming win the gold medal, and it was the United States, return to figure skating dominance and being on top again. An American athlete brings home the gold. She was actually the only American to win a gold medal at the 68 Olympics. So it's an extra big deal.
Wow, yeah.
And so this is when promoters latch on to the idea of figure skating is America's Winter Olympic sport.
The foundation was there already.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The story writes itself almost.
Yeah, it does.
So how can you not, use that as a jumping off point to start telling your amazing American skating story? And they do that. They handpick a girl by the name of Dorothy Hamill, pretty young lady that's going to be the face of figure skating. What's she do?
She wins.
She wins.
Yeah.
She wins the gold in what was the first predetermined winner of a figure skating event. And she is immediately a cultural icon. She goes pro, as we say. Skating in all kinds of ice-capades.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so the Ice-Capades is just one of many ice-based shows. You've got your Disney on Ice.
Sure.
You've got your Stars on Ice.
Uh-huh.
Probably the Wizard of Oz on Ice.
You tell me Dorothy wasn't in the Wizard of Oz on Ice?
She, clearly the star.
Come on.
She actually played the Wicked Witch.
Oh, wow. Did not see that coming.
I know. I made that up. Ice-Capades was the very first one. And after it went bankrupt, this is just a fun aside, Dorothy Hamill bought it to try to keep it going.
Wow.
Because she's a pro. Mm-hmm. And she made her whole living on ice skating. Still doing figure skating analysis.
Yep.
Along with all the greats.
Well, yeah. When you can no longer skate, you announce skating. I'm pretty sure.
Yep.
Every single one of them.
Oh, absolutely. That's how you know half their names, because they trot them all out at the Olympics every year. Well, when you build stars, and they do this in every sport, you spend the time and the energy and the money to build a star, you get every ounce back.
Yep. You milk them.
So, where are we? 1984. Mm-hmm. That's where we're at. 76 is when Dorothy wins. Now the men have to eventually reclaim their crown. And by the 80s, things have gotten very interesting. Obviously, we're going to talk about another huge event that happened in the 80s, but we're talking about figure skating right now.
Okay.
We're going to get to some other stuff in a second. Maybe something a little more up your alley.
Yeah.
But let's just say people are pretty on board with this whole let's just pick the winners because we'll make way more money this way sort of a thing. So in 84, Scott Hamilton is the first American to win the gold since the tragic plane crash in 61.
I know his name. He's an announcer.
Exactly.
All right.
He's only one of many names you're about to recognize.
Yes.
He wins, and a guy by the name of Brian Orser comes in second. That's the silver medal, if you want to be technical.
Sure.
We call it losing in a lot of places.
Yeah. Don't even get me started on third place.
That doesn't even count.
No.
If you're third, you're last.
Yeah.
And what's important to note about this is that with Peggy Fleming and in Dorothy Hamill, they're kind of this baby face that has no real challenger. In the early days, it was just about, okay, let's build up this big star and they will sell everything. But by 84, they realize, all right, just a face doesn't sell it, You need conflict. You need drama. That's what people want to see. And so even though Scott Hamilton, an American, wins in 84, the bigger story is that a Canadian, Brian Orser, comes in second and sets up the next Olympics in 88. An American may have won, but a Canadian is a big threat. They know how to skate.
Sure.
They know how to skate really well.
They grow up skating.
They skate to work every day, I'm told. In some places.
Yeah, sure.
The sidewalks are iced over or something.
Yeah.
or they all live on lakes.
I don't think any of that is accurate.
I don't know. I've never been to Canada.
Check your facts.
I've checked a lot of facts. That definitely isn't one of them. Some say the Olympics are the ultimate exercise in long-term booking. And the 84 and 88 Olympics are where that is really tested and true. Because from the 84 Olympics on, they start building towards the 88 Olympics and what is going to be known as the Battle of the Bryans.
Sounds pretty intense.
Right? Sounds way more intense than figure skating could possibly get.
Yeah.
And so, I, like many Americans, am very intrigued. Brian Boitano, American, definitely heard that name before.
Yeah. I wonder what he's going to do here.
He's going to come up short to Brian Orser on the way to the Olympics.
World champion in 1986. Lost that title to Brian Orser in 1997. And now they meet for the big one.
And that's when the Battle of the Bryans starts. Figure skating is a pretty easy sport to work.
Sure. Makes sense.
You got judges deciding everything.
Yeah.
Everyone's on the same page. Nothing to worry about.
It happens all the time.
Happens all the time. So since it's so easy to work, the drama is really built up in a couple of ways, right? The order that skaters skate in, so you see one person score and then you see another score and, can they top it or, whatever. Who wins what competition, because it's to win the gold, it's actually a cumulative score on 3 different events. The compulsory figures, short form, and long form. So, different people can win that. And then the actual skating, how well they do. And then the botch spots, as they're called in figure skating lingo, which are the spots where you see someone fall and it looks like they fell and they messed up. They flopped a bit.
Yeah. That's what they were going for.
That's what they were going for. These days, I don't know if you know this, but they've made scoring even more convoluted so no one can understand it, and even easier to cover their tracks in case someone actually misses a jump or something, because now you still get points just for trying a jump.
Wow.
You actually get more points for trying and failing particular jumps than not doing them at all.
I had a math class where I got points for showing work. It's kind of like that.
Very similar. In the Battle of the Bryans, there wasn't any of that BS rules. They didn't have to show their work. They just had to do work. And so it's a 3-part event. You can probably see where this is going. Part 1, Brian Boitano wins in the compulsory figures because he's a technical master.
Sure.
Orser wins in the short program. So they're 1-1. Whoever's going to win the long program is going to win it all. About as typical 2 out of 3 falls booking as you can get.
50-50.
And like I said, Brian Boitano is perfect. So he has a technically perfect long platform run. He gets in 8 triple jumps, which is just insane. I think it was just mostly triple jumps at this point. And that's the thing that I don't get really about figure skating. Is like they're supposed to be like they're like skating the music, but it just seems they're just like jumping and spinning a whole bunch, and they like go in a circle and then spin around a whole bunch and then jump and spin some more.
The song selection doesn't feel that important to me.
It doesn't feel that important. They have like 4 moves, then they try to cram as many of the same things into the time limit as possible. Yeah. But apparently there's artistic impression that can be made on the judges. And that is where our Canadian Brian shines, because he gets a better artistic score. So we get a
Canadian
split
Brian.
decision from the judges.
Oh, God.
How dramatic can you get?
That...
But our boy, the American, takes it. Brian Boitano.
Woo!
Becomes an Olympic legend. He's a popular sports figure. He's an Olympic legend. He has a song written about him. Everyone knows his name. But there's one more figure skating story I feel like we need to get out there. It's one of the grungiest. One of the wildest. It's the 94 Olympic figure skating competition. 1994 is important because it's the first time the Winter Olympics were on their own year. Before this, the Winter and Summer Games were held in the same year, just different months. So you really got to sell the Winter Olympics as a standalone thing. So you got to go all out in every event. You got to have some crazy stuff happening. Just got to put butts in seats.
Yeah, that's what it's all about.
Exactly. So some of the things that they do in 94, they add aerials to the skiing event where they do, cool jumps and stuff like that because it's more exciting to watch than a guy going down a hill.
Sure. Can't argue that.
Hard to, really. In hockey, it comes down to a shootout in the championship game to determine a winner. nothing more exciting in hockey than coming down to a shootout, especially a shootout in the Olympics.
Yeah.
You always love the shootout.
You do.
You always hope for the shootout. In men's figure skating, guess who they bring back?
Is it Brian?
It's Brian Boitano.
Yeah.
He only finishes 6th because it doesn't matter. They want to put over different stars at this point. But his name is still a draw. Women's figure skating is a harder... There's no big established women's stars in the U.S. We're kind of talking about the U.S. right now because that's all us in the U.S. care about when we watch the Olympics.
That's true.
Just watch our NBC coverage.
It's like NFL Red Zone, but just for Olympic performer or American performers.
Just yeah. It's, okay, now we're gonna go to the American ski jumper. All right, the others
speed
probably
skating
did good too, and probably only the ones that are medaling.
Yeah.
That's why when you watch the Summer Olympics, it's just swimming after swimming after swimming because there's 8,000 swimming events and everybody loves Michael Phelps.
With the occasional basketball game thrown in.
Yeah, you throw that one in to keep interest because before long everyone realizes, wait a second, this is all the same. They're just back and forth, back and forth. Why is there a different goal for every stroke that you can swim?
You can't even tell the difference.
You don't know that. Like, oh, one's they're on their back.
Okay.
One of them they're on their back, and about 8 of them they're not. If you could tell me the difference,
Tweet us.
Uncovering Sport. We do love swimming on Uncovering Sport.
Not quite as much as we love water polo, but it's up there.
Water polo is obviously the ultimate water sport. Well, yachting.
Yachting is better. We're getting ahead of ourselves.
We are. There is boat stuff in the Summer Olympics, isn't there?
I think so.
I think there is. Back to the Winter Olympics for a second. We have no bankable stars in the U.S. They're going with the Ukrainian for the gold. They need to bring Eastern Europe back into the fray.
But America's our sport.
I know. Yeah, America is our sport.
You know what I meant. Figure skating is our sport.
Figure skating's our sport. And America is not going to take that sitting down. So American promoters just sort of cook up their own scheme to keep Americans invested. Because what are they going to put on the TV if there's no Americans competing? They need to have something on the media circuit. And so we get one of the wildest storylines in Olympic history. Nancy Kerrigan versus Tanya Harding in what amounts to as much of a bloodbath that figure skating can be. If you weren't alive in 1994, this is what happened. A month before the Olympics start, a story comes out that Team USA hopeful Nancy Kerrigan has been attacked and clubbed in the knee.
Wow.
And figure skaters need knees.
I'm going to assume you fact-check that one.
You need 2 to be in the Olympics.
Sure.
Now, it's quickly revealed that this plot, it wasn't a random occurrence, wasn't a mugging. It was a premeditated plot masterminded by another Team USA hopeful, the dastardly Tanya Harding.
Dun, dun, dun.
And these two are a perfect match because Kerrigan is the obvious babyface. She's pretty, she's sweet, she's innocent. She's like friggin' Elsa out there on ice, you know? Whereas
Elsa was already on ice.
So she's just Elsa then. Meanwhile, Tanya Harding is this rough and tumble kid from the backwoods of Oregon that has an unlikely figure skating career. And not to say she's not good at it, because she's very good at it. She just doesn't quite do things the right way all the time. Like deciding to club her opponents in the knee.
Sure.
Actually, her teammate.
Yeah, that's true. Not her opponent.
This is USA on USA war. The Olympics, in their infinite wisdom, decide, just like they're going to allow Russian athletes to compete as non-Russia, that they're going to allow Tanya Harding to compete in the Olympics because we need a good story. And so all of us here in America don't care about who's actually going to win. We're just wrapped up in who is going to win between those two, who's going to place higher. Frankly, one of the most genius bookings of all time, because neither, like, Kerrigan only wins the silver, and Tanya Harding doesn't even place. So, but we don't care. We got a great story. Tanya Harding just had a new movie about her come out that I've heard is quite good.
That's true, yeah.
And that's figure skating in a nutshell. Now it's 2018. We're still, just barraged with figure skaters. You know them all by name. Michelle Kwan, Tara Lipinski, Christy Yamaguchi. Adam Rippon this year is the big name in men's figure skating because he's warring with Mike Pence, which I find to be a very surprising storyline because the whole fighting with the White House thing did not work for the NFL this year.
No, it did not.
So I'm not sure what direction they're headed in there. I think he might have worked himself into a shoot. Shall we talk about one more Olympics-based thing to make you happy?
Let's do it.
Why don't you tell me about ice hockey?
What do you want to know about ice hockey?
I want to know the only thing that there is to know in Olympics ice hockey history. I want to know about the big win.
Are you talking about the miracle on ice?
The miracle on ice.
It was huge,
It was giant.
as the announcer who you still hear today would call it.
And he did call that game.
He did call that game. That was his big break, I think.
It was his big break, yeah. That's what catapulted Al Michaels into superstardom. Lead up to the miracle on ice is a simple story. The Soviet Union at the time has dominated the ice for decades at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Since 1960, they have a deal in place that they get to win ice hockey every year, which is a crazy deal. It goes through the year 2000, if I remember right. Obviously, they couldn't ultimately meet the terms of the deal because they weren't a country anymore.
Yep. Maybe the
athletes from Russia did win
Okay.
in absence of the Soviet
All right.
Union.
See, they have a winning pedigree.
They truly do. But there's one year where they didn't win, wasn't there?
That's right. 1980.
Hot off of the U.S.'s success in booking Dorothy Hamill in figure skating, they're like, hey, we really like this whole just pick who wins thing.
It's very convenient.
We make a lot of money this way.
Yeah.
We drum up a whole lot of America support, you know?
It makes you wonder what the countries who don't win much get out of this.
They just like to see the Tongan guy like smiling and waving. And they're like, that's us! We're there too!
Yeah. That's their medal.
They showed up. The ultimate participation trophy. So, correct me if I'm wrong, but in the lead up to the Olympics, America, and this goes way up, doesn't it?
It goes to the top.
Tippy top.
Yeah.
U.S. government wants to win the Olympics over the commies.
Yep. That's the motivation right there.
That's the motivation.
Political motivation.
Well, it drums up, like I said. There's all kinds of national pride. You know, if the USA beats the Ruskies at hockey, they can beat them at anything.
Really rallied the troops.
So it goes all the way to the top. The U.S. government is in talks with the Olympic Committee to have Team USA go over and win the gold. Because it's in New York.
Yeah, it's a home game for them.
You don't want to lose a home game to your arch nemesis.
No, gosh.
And if I recall, I don't think Russia is super on board.
Well, why would they be?
They've got a contract that says they win every year.
Yeah.
They got all the chips.
They were right to not be happy.
Yeah, fair.
We can admit that.
The game starts, and I think no decision is made, so Russia just assumes they're going to win.
Poor guys.
This is America. Home team. Home turf. Home
That's
money.
right. Yep. Money talks.
So what happens?
So as we get into the medal games, semifinals is the big clash. U.S. versus USSR.
Woohoo.
Yep.
The excitement, the tension building, the Olympic Center filling to capacity. The face value of a top ticket for tonight's game, $67.
They didn't even save it for the championship game, which was a little odd. But I guess it was easier to get them out of the picture.
Yeah, don't want to take chances in the big game.
Rip that Band-Aid off.
Yeah. I think because originally the U.S. tried to convince the Russians that they should just lose really early because it would look less bad than losing directly to the Americans.
Yep.
But Russia's not that dumb.
They weren't having that. That's less exposure.
Yeah.
So when it comes down to the big game, they fall. And the U.S. goes over big.
Huge. They go over in spectacular fashion. In the third period, they get a high sticking call that sets up a power play. They score twice on the backup goalie because inexplicably the starting Russian goalie is taken out because money talks. And all of a sudden, USA is up 4-3. Time's ticking down.
Still lose 11 seconds. You've got 10 seconds. The countdown going on right now. Morrow up to Schultz. 5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes!
Do you believe in miracles?
I should do. Do you believe in screw jobs?
I am a believer.
And that's how we get the Miracle on Ice. Just a bunch of dirty backroom deals.
I think dirty backroom deals perfectly describes the Olympics as a whole.
It really does. It really, really does. And I think we should leave it there for our Olympic coverage.
Sure. Sounds good.
This has been a pretty fun edition. If you, our listeners, enjoyed this episode, a little history lesson episode, let us know. Tweet us. Facebook us. We've been digging dirt on every sport under the sun. So, if you want more than just what's happening now, let us know. And we'll get that going. For a glimpse at some of the best NFL bookings of the past, be sure to check out uncoveringssports.com for our ongoing history booking segment, as we featured a bunch of playoff matchups and how they happened. And make sure to tune in next week, because next week's a big week. It's XFL week here in the Uncovering Sports office, and we got some big news to share.
Oh, yeah.
We're dropping the rule book next week. Mm-hmm. It'll be clear, it'll be concise, it'll be just up to the spec that he specified.
Yep. You're welcome, Vince.
And we might just drop the first of 8 XFL franchises on you as well. In the meantime, just stay tuned to uncoveringssports.com throughout the week for news and updates. We're posting stories every day. At Uncovering Sport on Twitter. Uncovering Sports on Instagram is also a great way to follow us. Make sure that you're following us on all platforms. And until next week, we'll see you.
See you later.
What would Brian Boitano do if he was here right now? He'd make a plan and he'd follow through. That's what Brian Boitano do.
When Brian Boitano was in the Olympics skating for the gold, he did 2 sow cows and a triple Lutz while wearing a blindfold.
When Brian Boitano was in the Alps fighting grizzly bears, he used his magical fire breath and saved the maidens fair. So what would Brian Boitano do if he were here today? I'm sure he'd kick an ass or two. That's what Brian Boitano do.
I want this speech about of me. It has stunted my vocabulary. And I just want my mom to stop fighting everyone.
For Wendy, I'll be an activist too, cause that's what Brian Boitano do. And what would Brian Boitano do? He'd call the kids in town and tell them to unite for truth. That's what Brian Boitano do. When Brian Boitano dropped through time to the year 3010, he fought the evil robot king and saved the human race again. And when Brian Boitano built the pyramids, he beat up Kublai Khan. Cause Brian Boitano doesn't take shit from anybody. So let's pull all the kids together and unite to stop our moms. And we'll save Terrence and Phillip too, cause that's what Brian Boitano do. And we'll save Terrence and Phillip too, cause that's what Brian Boitano do. Cause that's what Brian Boitano do.
I don't even know who Adam Rapon is.